Fun fact, Power Rangers RPM was supposed to be the last season of Power Rangers, like, ever. After purchasing Marvel in 2009, they now had a superior franchise to build superheroes out of rather than the spandex team of Power Rangers. And Disney at the time, they were only known for their princesses or their classic cartoons, but now they were ready to step into the superhero franchise big time. And what did that mean for Power Rangers? Well, throw it away. Trash. So after nearly 8 years of owning the show, they're ready to end it for good. And since they didn't really care about the show that much at this point, they let the writers basically do anything. Almost anything. So here comes RPM, a series centered on a post-apocalyptic world focusing on the last team of Power Rangers, fighting a computer virus and its minions. However, the ending that we see in this show wasn't actually always meant to be like that. Because after firing the main writer of the show, the series went into a new direction. And since it's so different from what it's intended, let's finally talk about the original ending of Power Rangers RPM, the last season of Power Rangers. Yo, what's up everybody, it's Este here. I love Power Rangers RPM, right? I used to wake up at 5 in the morning to watch the show on ABC Kids. It's so brilliant. It's a classic show. If you haven't seen it, please go ahead and watch it. Spoiler alert, I'm gonna talk about the ending. Because we see that the Rangers would ultimately defeat Vengex in the show, but not quite, because the last shot we would see a little red light beaming from one of the shell shift morphers. And that was a huge cliffhanger that the show had that didn't really get resolved until 10 years later. Evox, the main villain in Power Rangers Beast Morphers, was actually Vengex the whole time. But it got me thinking about this original ending and how literally everything would have changed. Let's talk about Eddie Guzlian, the main writer of Power Rangers RPM, the one that constructed this idea and presenting it to Disney because they knew how to tap into that boys demographic correctly. And Disney was kind of known to give their writers some more creative control in some regards in their seasons. And at this point, since they were ending the show, they didn't really care much, so they just said, go do what you want, really. And Eddie took that and tried to make a show that appealed to older audiences. Because, post-apocalyptic shows, that's pretty cool. Explosions. Eddie would then start writing about this deadly world of Power Rangers, but the thing is that they hadn't really seen the Sentai at all. If you didn't know, Engine Sentai Go-Onger is the Super Sentai of origin that Power Rangers RPM comes from, and it's very different. Very, very, very different from the show. The Zords have eyes and they talk to each other. They come from a machine world. It's not apocalyptic. Well, at first viewing of what he had to adapt, Eddie said this: holy, I just promised Disney I could turn this into a show that would appeal to an older audience. I must be out of my mind. Holy, wait, what's on the front of the Zord? Are those mother eyeballs? So obviously Eddie was a little bit thrown off about what Go-Onger had in store with this post-apocalyptic idea, but he went for it anyways. It's a clap for you. Even in the post-apocalyptic world, a team stronger than the Power Rangers would be, of course, the E-Squad. Subscribe and ring the notification bell to join the E-Squad. You don't want to miss any single one of my Power Ranger videos. And because I love the E-Squad so much, you know what's coming. The E-Squad comment of the day. Leave a funny comment down below. Put E-Squad in it. I love reading your comments. And hey, you could be the next video. This was also Eddie's first Power Rangers production at all, having also received help from longtime veteran crew members of the show like Jackie Marchand and John Television, while also bringing his own writers Matthew Negretti and Madeleine Paxson. Eddie was let go from the show about halfway into the production, mostly due to budgetary reasons. He literally exploded the budget of the show for all those ideas that he had, as well as taking the show into a direction that maybe the producers didn't really expect the show to go to, because this show was deadly. It was for a series like Power Rangers about spandex heroes and being together, like Jungle Fury and teamwork and whatnot. This is different. Last season they were working on a pizza place, and now boom, apocalypse. There are dead people. There was a rumor though about how Eddie wanted to originally end the show. A post from Toku Nation around 2012 is where I found this from, and it goes like this: the finale of the series was originally going to be called Ranger Black, as earlier on in the season there were individual focus episodes for the Rangers. We had Ranger Green, Red, Yellow, and Blue, but we never got Black. And that is because the Ranger Black episode was going to be saved for the finale of the show. After the final demise of Venjix, we would see Summer finally choose the boy she wanted to be with, which I assume would be Dylan because, they're like this in the show. But just when she makes that decision, the sleeper programming in Dylan would be activated. And we would find out that the memories of him, as well as Tenaya, were falsified, and that it was all a big ruse to lead the Rangers and to take him into their ranks and allowing him greater trust. That is insane. That is literally insane. Dylan, the person that we knew and met and got to learn from, the mysterious dude from the whole Power Rangers RPM show, just straight up doesn't exist at all. It was a lie. Nothing was real. Venjix's master plan had finally arrived and the game has changed. And now it falls onto the rest of the team to destroy Venjix once and for all, even now that he controls the morphing grid. And that means, of course, killing Dylan. And they had to kill Dylan. Dylan had access to a morpher, had access to ranger powers, access to the grid. Venjix, boom, hacked. That's deadly plan. Good one on Venjix though. Can you imagine how the different Rangers would react to this? Scott, who had this love-hate relationship with Dylan throughout the show, obviously Summer. Ziggy, who became best friends with Dylan. I wonder how he was going to deal with this. We never got a confirmation, though, if this was originally the ending that Eddie inspired to make. As due to script delays and a lot of micromanagement, stuff just wasn't working out for the show with Eddie. And he got replaced with another veteran Power Rangers member, Chip Lynn. Chip Lynn made shows like Power Rangers in Space. Remember that, because the ending arc of the show would now see Dylan and Tenaya 7 having a brother-sister storyline, a trend directly ripped off from another one of Lynn's shows, Power Rangers in Space. You guessed it. Comment question of the day though, if this original ending for RPM actually happened, would you have been satisfied if it was the actual ending for the Power Rangers franchise? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. And hey, don't forget to leave a like, okay? 1,500 likes and I'll do more videos just like this one. As for the reasoning behind this move, when Eddie left, so did the writers that he brought on as well. And with Jackie leaving the show as well, it just left Chip and John to finish it off. And he had to move quickly because, obviously he missed out on pre-production. There wasn't enough time to study the Super Sentai scripts. He really just had to wing an ending for the show. And since there was a good chunk of story already set in place, basically, he played it safe and just made an easy guide to an end. An ending that wouldn't break the bank. When Chip got on the show, some of the actors actually tried talking to him about Eddie's original idea, about how their characters are meant to go, and Chip just doesn't care. He's not Eddie. He's Chip. He's gonna find an easy way out. Obviously, there is also some legal liability in that. If Chip uses Eddie's ideas, Eddie can sue Chip because he would be stealing his original idea. So Chip had to divert and pivot away. And he had considered Dylan becoming the villain, but felt as if it was a little bit too predictable, despite the fans liking this idea. Chip also didn't really like Dylan as a character, so it just wasn't meant to be. He also didn't really like this sister storyline that he had with Tenaya, but he realized how much Eddie had made this show about Dylan. He was the most interesting character of the bunch. So Chip just went on autopilot and made this ending with Venjix being destroyed and that cliffhanger with the Morpher, but fans were always asking for more. And luckily enough, the fans were asking because Power Morphicon 2018 led the fans to ask these questions to the cast themselves. The cast would repeat the point that if they got Eddie drunk enough, he would spill the story of the true ending. Adelaide Kane, who played Tenaya in the show, also revealed that Eddie planned to have Tenaya become the 8th Ranger towards the end of the series.
All I know is I would have gotten a morpher.
Is that true? I think that's a joke, though, low-key. There's Paleomax Rangers right there. Just use them. However, to date, Eddie has not gone on record for what exactly he had planned. Though he claimed in an interview with Ranger Crew prior to the series airing that he only came up with his final plans the day before he was fired. Ari did recall, though, that the final plot of the series more or less follows what Eddie had in mind.
It pretty much kind of went the way that it was going to go. I don't think it didn't hit the points that it was supposed to along the way.
Did he actually tell you?
Not 100%. I'm still waiting to...
How much percent? Because he last time I asked, he said, get me really drunk and I'll tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
With the obvious cuts being, Dylan no longer being a villain. He's just, a good guy, misunderstood. What do you guys think about this original Power Rangers RPM ending? How would you have ended the show? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, the Don Fuego. I'm also on Instagram, not Don Fuego. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you're at. And of course, and as always, stay awesome, everybody.